Hey everyone, welcome back, or welcome for the first time to this channel. I want to help you prepare to go there. And I wanted to talk today about 10 tactics that help me stay centered. You know, there's no substitute for feeling centered. It really does make a difference in your day. And when you have a center point, then you can be more intentional and you're less likely to drift. And even when you do get pulled away, you can always have a reference point to keep looking back to or staying on track. Number one, I wake up early to a guided morning routine. If you want the best chance to do your best work, then it's gonna happen earlier than later in the day. And so set a routine to just put you on autopilot just for a little bit, so that way as you wake up, you can power through and you can get going and then get centered for your day. Number two, I fuel up physically. Now, I know this sounds obvious, but it was not obvious to me. I had to learn that just because I'm not trying to lose weight doesn't mean I can ignore my physical well-being, that I can just eat whatever I want, do whatever I want, go to bed whenever I want. You still have to lead yourself. That's drinking more water than you think you need. It's walking, it's working out, it's supplements. You can have a multifaceted approach, but you need to be paying attention to how you feel physically. If you don't feel amped about this, you need to find someone who is very into this conversation because they will help you. The third tactic is I start working with learning. That looks like a podcast in the morning or a chapter in a book. I used to try to read books at night, but I wasn't really falling asleep. But this works really well. I use the first part of my day to fuel up physically and then fuel up mentally, and I'm actually inspired to go get results and go serve my team. The fourth tactic is I use a paper journal to process the daily inputs. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do productivity. I use a hybrid approach. So I have a physical journal and then I also have digital tools. The paper part of that equation is yes for capture, but it's also for curation. And if you've read anything about the Commonplace book, that's a really cool kind of pre-modern tool that people use to be productive, learn things, and it kind of becomes an artifact in and of itself. Get a journal, keep it with you, and write down things that come to mind and things that you want to stay focused on. That leads to the next tactic, which is I practice triaging my thought life. You know, if you want to stay centered, you're going to have to be aware of what pulls at you and what, causes you to get off center. And being able to think about your thoughts. I know that sounds silly, but it makes a big difference. Are you thinking and really assessing the quality of your thoughts? Are you thinking about stuff that's good and healthy and helpful? Or are you tolerating negative emotions that are just going to drain you and that are going to rot away at your joy or your confidence? And so you'll have a ton of thoughts and a ton of things will come up in a day. Doesn't mean you have to individually, go through each one for sure. But what you can do is triage them. And so the same way that someone in the medical field would categorize all of the needs into priority levels, you get to do the same thing with what's coming up in your day. You can do that in the planner just by jotting down notes or thoughts and kind of using that as an opportunity to park them somewhere, or you can let those thoughts surface to a priority level, and that's where you reach out to other people. The next tactic is I curate pre-decisions and insist on next actions. This means I want to grow my appetite for action. The same way you would go a few hours and then start getting hungry again. Well, it's the same with action. It's the same with your results. You should be going, after a while, you should be noticing, hey, what am I doing with my work time? What am I doing at home? Am I making progress on my goals? Am I growing the values that I say are important to me? And so it's very easy to just kind of get stuck on lots of mindless entertainment, or to get pulled into a lot of talking, or just to do a lot of low-level tasks, when really you need to get hungrier and hungrier for big action steps. And so to kind of focus in that direction, you can identify pre-decisions, which are basically the habits or the little rules that you create, so that way you're not getting decision fatigue, thinking about the same things over and over and over. No, you've already made an intentional plan, and now you can use it again and again. And even at a personal level, you want to make decisions worth repeating, not just for yourself, but maybe even for other people. So you could bring someone else on in your team and say, hey, this is what I'm doing and it's working, and now you can use it too. And then even zoom out way, way more. Are you living a life that's worth repeating as well? And so pre-decisions are really cool. It's a great tool. Next steps, that just means whenever you're talking about a project, a goal, dinner, vacation, whatever it is, don't just settle on the idea. Really push the other person or push yourself towards the next step. Okay, what is the next thing I can do in this, whatever it is? The next tactic is I try to avoid multitasking and multi-talking. Now, basically I'm saying you got to focus, and you have to grow your focus and stretch your focus, because we are probably sabotaged so many times we don't even realize it. But one of the things we can do to cultivate our focus and stay centered is be aware when one task is leading us to another task, to another, to another, to another. It happens so fast. It's like when you're watching YouTube videos and they're suggesting and recommending and then auto-playing all this stuff. And so don't do the same thing for yourself, or don't let other people do it to you, where you're starting on one task, but a roadblock came up. So then you're trying to work on the roadblock now, but you weren't prepared to deal with that roadblock. So now there's 2 or 3 other things that you have to do to kind of prepare for the roadblock for the thing you're trying to do. And then you have to call somebody to help you with the thing you weren't prepared for, or the thing you're not knowledgeable about, to deal with the roadblock for the very thing you're trying to do. And now something that was supposed to be like 30 minutes now takes half or most of your day, because you allowed multitasking to just kind of switch from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And basically you're drifting. You're just drifting further and further away. You're getting off balance, and you're not staying focused on what you identified at the beginning of the day. And then the same with multi-talking. We can multi-talk, and you start one conversation and then that goes to another thing and another thing and another thing. And I don't know why we do that, but it happens. And so just be aware of it and stay centered on what you know, what you value, and what you've identified you want to get done that day. Basically, another simple way to say this is you need to have good boundaries on your time and on how much you take on. The next tactic is I curate music playlists for different modes. And I use Spotify to listen to music and podcasts, and this is just a really fun way for me to kind of transition into that mode, whether I'm working out or I'm doing deep work. There are literally different kinds of music or different kinds of podcasts that I'm going to listen to, and it's already preloaded. So I'm going into a writing session, or I'm going to do some house chores, and I can enjoy that time because boom, I've got the right music for that occasion. There's one playlist where I'm literally just listening to ambient noise, like when you're up in an airplane and you just hear that hum. That is an awesome help. The next tactic is I reset to ready before I move on. Try to reset back to ready. So plug up your devices, get them charged up before you need to use them again. Fill up your car with gas before you're going to use it again. Pick up your clothes, get them ready for next time. It's just a little thing that helps you stay in that center place, so that way you're not getting pulled back into old business. You're not dragging stuff longer than they need to. The last tactic, and it's probably my favorite, is I default on designing. If I don't know what to do, I'm gonna default back to this. Instead of floundering and wondering, okay, what am I doing now? Where do I need to be? What's going on? I love designing the optimal day. I like designing the way I want to work. I like wearing a design thinking hat and taking on everyday life with that kind of process approach has been really useful for me. What I hope you're getting out of this conversation is that there's no substitute for feeling centered, and there's going to be a ton of things that are always pulling on you, your attention, your emotions, but you have to have some sort of gravity, right? Your values that keep pulling you back. Guys, thanks for watching this vlog. There will be many more to come. I want to remind you, you're going places, but you got to prepare to go there.